Rotarians and guests, welcome to the June 23rd meeting of the Rotary Club of York. Our members are committed to service above self and Rotary's four-way test. And speaking of the four-way test, one of the tenets is it fair to all concerned? And yes, thank you to our in-person audience today for silencing your cell phones, which is fair to all of our speakers today. Leading our opening song and pledge is Leanne Wilson. Providing our invocation is Eric Chase. And introducing our visiting Rotarians and guest is Jonah Geller. Leanne.
Please join me in singing My Country 'Tis of Thee. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land where the pilgrims pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm sorry about that. Rotarians, will you please join me in prayer in the way that you're most accustomed? Let us bow our heads. Lord of the universe, you have given most of mankind a strong desire to do good, to be honest, and to serve others, and to faithfully fulfill their obligation to their neighbors. Help us as Rotarians to do good. Help us as humans to be honest and ethical in all our dealings. Help us as Rotarians to serve others, and help us to faithfully fulfill our obligations as neighbors to our community and our nation and our world. We ask for gratitude, and we give gratitude and ask for blessings on the food that is placed before us. The hands have prepared it. We ask for blessings on our speaker, Druck, our president, and all the works of the United Way as they do good and have honest dealings and serve others in our community, in supporting partner agencies and programs that support those that need financial help, strengthening their health, and also to serve our community. And as Rotarians, we ask that you continue us to place service above ourselves. In all this we pray, amen.
Good afternoon. I want to do a quick shout out to Glenn Miller. Gave me an extra 15 to 20 minutes to do the introductions. But please hold your applause till the very end. I do want to say how much a pleasure it's been to join the Rotary. My name is Jonah Geller, and like to invite the following guests to stand. John Bailey, Jason McSherry, Major Tom Babbitt, Carmen Banzaca, Ann Lawrence, Hannah Beard, guest of Kevin Schreiber, Katie Mahoney, also a guest of Kevin Schreiber, Casey Nixon, a guest of Silas Chamberlain, Grace Cordy, guest of Silas Chamberlain again, and Steve Harlicker, a guest of Jim May. Please join us in welcoming our guests.
Welcome to all our guests. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed the fellowship, the fair, and the camaraderie and the programming, we welcome you to come back anytime. And also welcome to visiting Rotarian from the Hanover Club, John Bailey. Some of you may have seen John's ride out there. Thanks, John, for living united and showing up today in a big way. And I really appreciate, I don't know if Lynn was aware of this, but this was a real trifecta of United Way openings. Leanne Wilson is our board member and two of our partner agency executive directors. So you're good, Lynn. Thank you. Now on to our announcements. Our Charitable Endowment Fund Board will meet following today's meeting here at the Country Club of York. Student education interviews will be held for the Wagman Nursing Scholarship, the Hayes Equine Scholarship, and the Whiteley Educational Loans. That's this Thursday beginning at 4:30 on Zoom. Our IDEA committee meets Monday at 8 a.m. on Zoom. You are all invited to join Rotary's Night at the Revs. Our fellowship committee, Rob Bowen, is hosting a Rotary Club of York Family Night on Thursday, July 29th. You can enjoy food, family, baseball, and fun, and hopefully a win. See Rob Bowen to order tickets. And I believe there are also flyers for those of you here in person on the tables, and for our online audience, you can check out the website for more information. And last night's event was a real Rotary lineup. It was an opportunity to honor Tom and Cindy Donnelly. The York County Libraries honored Tom and Cindy as their spring honorees. And I was surprised to join the event. Rotarian Bob Cox kicked it off as their board chair. Rotarian Bob Pullo shared comments. I shared comments, as well as Honorable Rotarian Governor Tom Wolf. So it really was quite an event. Oh, and also Robert Lambert spoke, the CEO of the library. So it was Rotary from top to bottom, and what a great way to honor Tom and Cindy and their legacy of support of literacy and reading and the libraries in our community. So thanks, Tom. If you're listening, you and Cindy, congrats again to you. Let them hear you. Say it loud. Now we have a literacy book drive check presentation. Sarah White.
Thanks, Anne. Literacy is an important worldwide focus of Rotary, and for good reason. As a girl growing up in rural Mississippi, my grandmother instilled a love of reading in me. I honestly don't know where I would be in my life without my love of reading. That foundation brought me to York, to the big city of York. I'm especially grateful to have the opportunity to participate in the Literacy Committee's efforts. And on behalf of the committee, thank you, Rotarians, for your generous support this year. Thanks to your efforts, we have 2 checks to present that will help children in our own community have access to books and hopefully plant the seeds for a love of reading in them. We appreciate your willingness to support access to books and reading materials for children right here in our own community. This first check from our 2021 book drive of $1,000 goes to the Child Development Center at First Church of the Brethren. Center Director Carmen Benzaca is here to accept their check today. They plan to serve 77 children in their program and will provide books for children in their infant classrooms who are just learning how to hold books and turn the pages, and toddlers and preschoolers who very much love to sit and hear stories and be read to. Lastly, the children in their school age program will appreciate having books available to enhance their days and enrich their minds. The second check of $1,500 goes to the Salvation Army Learning Center, and Major Tom Babbitt is here today to accept their check. They plan to serve 130 children with these funds. The Salvation Army Learning Center has an after-school reading comprehension program that helps students achieve their grade-appropriate reading level. They would love for students to be able to pick books and keep them instead of borrowing them. The Salvation Army also has a summer day camp where campers participate in the Learning Center weekly for 6 weeks, and they plan to provide those students with both bilingual and English language books for over the summer.
Thank you, Sarah. A great example of how our committees fuel our impact work here at Rotary. Thank you, Sarah, for your work and your committee's work. Congratulations to Carmen and Major Babbitt. We appreciate the work that your organizations support for our youth and advancing literacy. It's a great foundation for our community's future. Now I'd like to ask Debbie Ashway to come up for a Student Education Merit Scholarship update. Debbie.
On behalf of the Student Education Committee, I am proud to welcome to the podium for the 2020 Edwin P. Mangold Rotary Scholarship recipient, Ann Lawrence, who will provide an update to you on her first year at Columbia. Ann.
Hello, my name is Ann Lawrence, and last year I was named the recipient of the Mangold Merit Scholarship. I'm currently attending Columbia University, and I'm ultimately undecided right now, despite what the PowerPoint says. But I do know that I will be completing the pre-health curriculum to apply to medical school in hopes of becoming a psychiatrist. This year, Columbia held classes almost entirely online, so I've had to do quite a bit of off-syllabus learning before I could do my virtual learning. In the fall, I took my intensive general chemistry, calculus 2, literature humanities, and frontiers of science. By the end of the semester, I learned to love my literature and chemistry classes, but I ultimately felt that this semester just was checking boxes off of a list of curriculum requirements. Fortunately, that changed after winter break concluded. In the spring, I took my second semester of literature humanities and an intensive chemistry lab, which was a quite different experience doing it all online. Both of which I enjoyed, but they paled in comparison to the university writing and intro to linguistics. In linguistics, I got a taste of one of two majors I'm considering, as I'm currently deciding between linguistics and psychology. My professor, John McWhorter, which I behoove all of you to Google and look him up because I absolutely love this man. He's written books about race, community, and society through the lens of language and culture. And between him, the TAs, whose office hours enlightened me, interested me, and frankly saved my homework grade more than once, and the fascinating course material, I'm now leaning towards selecting linguistics as my major, though I plan to take a psychology course next spring to truly assess all of my options. In university writing, however, we focused on medical humanities, specifically the impossibility of communicating pain to medical practitioners. And I thought a lot about how to connect with others in their times of need. Though I wasn't able to serve others exactly as I wanted to this past year, I feel that the contemplation that came with this class has prepared me to more effectively serve others in the future, so that I may continue to personify Rotary's motto of service above self. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ann, on finishing your second year, and quite a historic year it was at Columbia. Yes, you definitely were an excellent selection for the Mangold Scholarship, and you do personify Rotary's motto of service above self. One of our past presidents is a Spring Grove grad, and he wasn't able to join us today, but he would be very proud of you, as we all are. We wish you the best of luck in your decision of your major, and no matter what path you pick, you will be successful, and we're rooting for you. So we hope you come back and join us. Congratulations, Ann. Next, we have a Service Above Self award, and Jeff Vermeulen will announce that. Jeff.
Thank you, President Ann. It is my honor today to share our Service Above Self award recipient, Jason McSherry. Jason is the Events and Program Manager for the York County Economic Alliance, where I have the good fortune to serve on the board of directors and have gotten to work with Jason since he joined the team in 2019. I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out a couple board colleagues. I see Jules Tolbert, Grace Corte, and of course, our great staff led by Kevin Schreiber. Everybody, if you could give a wave, thank you for all you do. All right, so a little bit about Jason and his story. So on March 24th, Jason was awoken in the middle of the night and quickly learned his neighbor was trapped within her home that had caught fire. Jason acted selflessly when called upon by his neighbor to come to their aid. As he entered the burning structure, he was able to free his neighbor and himself. And beyond that heroic effort, Jason and his family provided further assistance by caretaking for their neighbor's dog while she was receiving medical care in the hospital. He will be the first to tell you that if I didn't do it, someone else would have. But Jason, we know that is simply not true. You have demonstrated true courage, bravery, and care for one's neighbor by placing yourself in a perilous harm to come to the dire need of another, embodying the ethos to love thy neighbor, and certainly some of the tenets, what it means to be a Rotarian. If you know Jason, you know he is incredibly humble. The morning after this occasion, he went about his workday, leading meetings, sending emails. He shared he was, quote, a bit tired from a fire in the neighborhood. His team did not understand the true depth of the heroic efforts until Ed Weinstock broke the news on WGAL that evening. Seriously, think about that. I'd like to think that I would have done what you did in those circumstances, but I darn would have bragged about it when I got to work. So you're a better man than I am, that is for sure. And I think we can all learn a little bit from your modeling. Jason, for your heroic efforts, your selflessness, and your humble way of living, it is our sincerest honor as a club to present you with this Service Above Self Award. Thank you. So this is the
Thank you very much. I am honored to receive this. I'm in a little bit of a loss of words. As I said, I try to fly under the radar a little bit, and this is definitely out of my comfort zone a little bit. I prefer to be on the other end of the speaker or the camera, but thank you, Jeff, for putting this nomination in, and thank you for the award, everyone. I do truly believe that had I not been out there, one of my neighbors would have filled in my stead, and you never know what you're capable of until you're in that situation. And you learn some things about yourself when you do that. But I also would like to say that it gave me a new appreciation for the dozens of first responders, police, fire, EMS that were all there within 15, 20 minutes afterwards. And they voluntarily put themselves into those situations every day. And I believe that there's a donation that's going to be going to the fund that at the York County Community Foundation that helps to provide schooling and education to future EMS and fire providers. So thank you so much. I appreciate this a lot, and thank you.
Thank you to the Service Above Self Committee for this exact work that you're doing to recognize amazing folks in our community. And Jason, that's amazing that you had courage to enter in that conflagration. Thankfully, your instincts took over and you put yourself at risk to save the lives of others. Are your neighbor and the dog, are they okay?
So their pets are okay. Unfortunately, my neighbor did. She made it through pretty much the entire recovery. Succumbed eventually.
So sorry to hear that. And I'm sure that is another burden that you're bearing because of your courage. Thank you. You are truly a humble hero in our midst. And we are very grateful for the service that you rendered to a neighbor in need. Thank you very much, Jason. Appreciate that. On to our business spotlight. Today, this week features H. Warner Marketing. The name of the company may sound familiar to you as the H stands for Heather. And Heather Warner spent nearly 2 decades as a news reporter, as was mentioned earlier with GAL, and a news anchor with WPMT Fox 43. So how did H. Warner Marketing come about? After almost 20 years in broadcasting and working some, as you can imagine, crazy hours, coming out to fires and weathers and emergencies and things like that, Heather wanted to change that would allow more flexibility for her growing family and that would provide her with additional opportunities. So she earned her master's degree at Shippensburg University and started making her own marketing agency in 2018. In 3 short years, Heather's firm grew its number of clients substantially and now works closely with each of them to find the best strategies to grow their revenue as well as their market share. Her clients range from personal injury and workers' comp attorneys to skincare centers, realtors, roofing companies, optometrists, adult education schools, and much more. Initially, Heather focused efforts solely on digital marketing. However, she now runs a full service agency with a team of experts to ensure her clients exceed their goals. Services include social media management, paid social media campaigns, Google and AdWord campaigns, website development, reputation management, search engine optimization, multimedia buying, and public relations and design. As you can imagine, as with most businesses, when the pandemic hit, anxiety set in, where some companies were able to keep their marketing budgets intact with revenue down, and in some cases, with the businesses shut down entirely. What she learned through that experience is that you can be successful in just about anything if you adapt and think outside the box. Heather and her team Zoomed with clients and discussed new strategies to help them stay afloat and pivot. If clients' business allowed for it, online stores were established so that customers could shop from home, which I'm sure we've all done a lot of in the past year. For businesses that closed, discounted gift certificates were offered to buy now and save later for customers to use when they reopened. They hammered away messages about safety precautions and utilized the downtime to get some things in order. For some, that meant building up their websites. Heather says it's been an amazing 3 years with phenomenal growth, a lot of work, and with newfound flexibility that allows her what she wanted, to enjoy moments in her children's lives that are going by way too quickly. Heather Warner joined our club in 2017. And I'd just like to give a shout out to Heather. Thanks for lending your skills for regular updates of our Facebook page for our weekly meetings and other important postings. Now we have a poll for you to participate in. You can shout out the answers here to our live audience, and our virtual audience can share your vote in the chat or share your vote online. Which York County companies are celebrating a century in business this year? Utz Quality Foods, the United Way of York County, Rutter's, all of the above, or none of the above? That's one of them. I heard some all of the above. Are there any other companies that are celebrating 100 years, a century of service, that aren't on this list? Fantastic. Okay. Great to know, Mr. Fay. Appreciate that. Any others celebrating an anniversary this year? Maybe not 100. How's the voting coming online, Ben?
Well, it looks like they all just came in. The majority did say all the above. About 30 people have voted online. 49 people are joining us online today. So 77% of you had said all of the above. 10% of you had said United Way of York County. And I think that had a lot to do with you kind of giving that away early on. But we all are on the same page on that one. A lot of anniversaries in York County this year. So yes, all the above. That's the correct answer.
Don't we love those professors that would all give the good hints for the tests?
And Philip Woods, by the way, online, he just said York County Community Foundation is their 60th anniversary.
60th, excellent, great, thank you all. Appreciate that vote in person and online, and it's amazing these companies that have withstood the test of time, and many are still growing and thriving. So thank you. And now to introduce today's program, a little hint with the poll, is a United Way of York County board member. He is our Legacy Committee Chair. He is our Mission Vision Task Force Chair, and all that as he is just celebrating his first anniversary on our board of directors. He is a man who is keeping his foot on the accelerator of his community service in retirement. Please welcome Bill Hartman.
Thank you very much, Ann. Boy, 1921 must have been a great year. I was much younger then. When Ann asked me to introduce the program today, I realized that I would have a challenge. And the challenge was, how do you introduce someone who needs no introduction? So after giving it some thought, I decided to eliminate the 3D part of the announcement, basically doors, daughters, and dogs. And instead, I'm going to focus on just a few of the significant professional accomplishments that Ann has enjoyed. First of all, I think you all know she served as president of the York County Convention and Visitors Bureau for 25 years. It was a very successful reign, and during that period of time, she strongly established that organization as an economic driver in York County. Ann has been an outstanding true Rotarian for several decades. Before assuming the presidency of our club, she served on the program committee, she chaired the networking committee, and was president of the Charitable Endowment Fund. Ann believes in the Rotary Foundation. She supports the Rotary Foundation. She contributes to the Rotary Foundation, and she is a multiple Paul Harris Fellow. Prior to assuming the presidency of the United Way of York County, Ann was the successful chair of their annual fundraising campaign. Right now, in addition to her normal duties of being the president of the Rotary and president of the United Way, she is working on a process that without question has the potential to be the highest impact initiative of her career. She's leading the United Way through a strategic planning process that will make it more effective, more results-oriented, and will improve many more lives in our One York County community than it already improves. It's so powerful that on Monday, the United Way Board approved a new mission statement to more accurately reflect this new direction. It says, "We improve lives by inspiring and uniting our One York community to equitably advance education, health, and economic mobility." This new strategic approach will enable the United Way to build on its already strong reputation and already strong foundation and become even a greater force for social, education, and economic improvement in our One York County community. So at this point, please join me in welcoming back to the podium our own Ann Druck. She is not only president of the Rotary and president of the United Way, she is an outstanding true Rotarian. Ann?
Right here in York County, a man named John woke up one day and he was overcome with worry. Now, John was not a warrior. He was a man who was proud for providing for his family, and he had never had to ask for help. And then COVID hit. That morning, the food ran out. And John, as he watched his school-age daughter play, wondered and worried, how am I going to feed her? That very morning, there was a knock on the door and a basket arrived of food. And that was enough food to feed John and his daughter. Never was there the statement that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach ever more true. And that basket of food was delivered by a United Way partner agency that is focused on meeting basic needs and providing workforce development right here in our community. John's story is true. Unfortunately, thanks to COVID, his story is not unique. He has lots of company in our community, in our country, in our world. Fortunately, though, just as common are the forces that marshaled to address the overwhelming needs of our community. As Bill mentioned, I'm not sure if you did mention this, Bill, but I'm a 7th generation York County native. And like you, I have a strong commitment to community service. Thanks to the honor of working with all of you and many generous folks in our community, I am moved but not surprised. I'm thankful that United Way of York County and our partner agencies were here in John's time of greatest need. In our time together today, we're going to consider how the passion of generous folks just like you combined through an important collaboration, laying the groundwork for steering York County through this pandemic. And what a rocky path to steer it has been. Nearly every facet of what makes a community has been impacted. COVID highlighted the importance of a robust United Way and the power that is generated when our community collaborates. Together with my colleague Jane Conover and her stellar team at the York County Community Foundation, we had the honor of working with generous donors and created the COVID-19 Response Fund for York County. This melting pot of generosity received support from a broad spectrum of York County, from private foundations to individual donors who wound up donating their federal stimulus check to the COVID Response Fund, to another group that I call Creative and Fit. And these were marathon runners that, as you know, with a marathon, you just don't decide, or I guess most people don't, but you have to build up to that and train for that. And they were very disappointed last spring when their races were canceled. So what they decided to do is get creative, and they produced their own socially distant marathon at Rocky Ridge Park, and they combined all the proceeds, all that they would have paid for their race fees, and put all those proceeds together and donated it to the COVID fund. So our club, many of you, and online, thousands of generous United Way donors supported the call to keep those in need via the COVID Response Fund to help those in need. So thank you very much for that. COVID is not the first example of the United Way of York County responding to our community needs. For a century, generosity has inspired and fueled our collaborative community impact and provided the agility to deliver help where it's needed most. While everyone has been adversely impacted by COVID, too many of our neighbors were living on the cusp of a financial crisis prior to the pandemic. Modeled after a national United Way research study, we now know these individuals in our community as ALICE, and that stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. I know that's a mouthful, but you know our neighbors in need who are working but unable to make ends meet. Our neighbors who are working 1, 2, maybe 3 jobs, and they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they don't have a savings to withstand the financial setback of a crisis. There are childcare workers, our healthcare workers, our convenience store workers, those that keep our economy thriving. Rotarians and guests meet the faces of ALICE households, of our ALICE neighbors in our community. There are people like Miss M and her 2 daughters. These beautiful faces that you see are Key and Leonie. Their mother, Miss M, is a single parent who works at a local hospital as an essential worker. The United Way of York County's Impact Fund supports her daughter's ability to attend a high-quality child care program produced by a United Way partner agency. What that means is Miss M is able to work, serve our residents, and provide for her family, knowing that her children receive excellent care. Why is childcare vital? When parents like Miss M have reliable childcare, they're reliable workers. And that means that our stores, our restaurants, and our companies can stay open. COVID flowed into all the cracks and fissures in our community. One of those areas that we now know is critical to a thriving community is quality, affordable, and accessible childcare. A study funded in part by the COVID-19 Response Fund and commissioned by the excellent organization that's joined us here today in numbers, the York County Economic Alliance, earlier this year, noted that even before COVID, there were gaps in needed childcare. The yellow area is our gap of almost 7,000 children without licensed high-quality childcare in York County. COVID certainly, as you can imagine, exacerbated this situation with permanent closures and decreased capacity of childcare centers. Key and Leonie are fortunate. Not every family has access to great childcare. Did you know that 80% of a child's brain is formed by the age of 3? Fact is, access to high quality childcare is an investment that pays dividends now for our working families and children and for our community's future. And I'd also like to thank the Rotary Club of York. We've had a great stream of amazing college students coming up here for scholarships. And in the past year, we have also expanded our generosity to childcare centers with the funds from our amazing fall fundraiser and also from our Give Local York participation. I think this is a great foundation for our club and for the future of our community. Pardon me. We at United Way of York County, we believe in a bright future. We improve lives by inspiring and uniting our one York County, our one York community to equitably advance education, health, and economic mobility. As we celebrate 100 years, it's the perfect time to look back at the systems that sustained us for over a century. At the same time, as Bill mentioned, we look forward to evaluating, prioritizing, and restructuring our fundraising efforts to better power our impact areas and meet the growing needs of our community. Our successful second century of community service is encapsulated in our newly adopted vision. And as Bill said, this was approved by our board on Monday evening. So the Rotary Club of York is the very first public group to see this work. Our prosperous One York community is generous and healthy with equitable opportunities for all. And you may notice when Bill shared our mission statement and the vision statement, the word equitable. While diversity, equity, inclusion have been hallmarks of United Way's community service over the past 100 years, we intentionally raise the prominence where it is right there spelled out in both our mission and our vision. And we have one more advanced screening for you today. We want to share the United Way of York County's newly adopted and first equity statement as recorded by members of our dedicated board of directors and staff.
United Way of York County is committed to ensuring that families and individuals in our community thrive and achieve their highest potential.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion are vital to achieving our mission, living our values, and advancing the common good.
An inclusive approach that centers traditionally underrepresented voices allows us to work collectively and more effectively to fight for the education, health, and financial stability for all members of our community.
We value dignity, justice, and respect for all of our neighbors and believe we have a moral and ethical obligation to forward that reality at every level of our organization.
We welcome that every person brings a unique perspective and experience to advance our mission of building a stronger, caring community.
We seek to support and engage the entire community in our community building work and oppose all forms of discrimination with regards to race, religion, national origin, or ethnicity, ancestry, age,
Gender, gender identity and expression, disability, sexual orientation, veteran status, marital status, familial status, socioeconomic status, or any other difference.
We uphold education as a cornerstone to understanding the history of systemic racism in our country, community, and organization, and the policies that create and perpetuate injustice. Therefore, we will invest in annual anti-racism training for our staff and board of directors.
We strive to include diversity, equity, and inclusion practices in our daily work.
And to do our part to oppose discrimination, combat systemic racism, and protect the basic human rights of every person in our community.
We will begin by reviewing our own policies, procedures, and practices, and changing those that are inequitable.
We commit to work intentionally and meaningfully to leverage expertise within our community to provide strategies, best practice examples, and success measures to help create more equitable communities and close disparities wherever they exist, including within our own organization.
We acknowledge that this work is ongoing, that we must listen, learn, and reflect, that we will make mistakes, and that we must take ownership of these missteps.
This is a journey that we've already started at the United Way of York County, and it is the work that we promise to continue to do.
Thank you for viewing our DEI statement, and thank you for the opportunity to present this information with you today. Who would like to ask the first question? I see it going up back there, Jim.
Right here. Ann, can you tell us about, do you have any plans for any celebrations for your 100th anniversary, or are we going to go quietly into the night?
Thank you, JT. Actually, there are flyers on your tables, and Ben is going to help out for our virtual audience and drop a link in the chat so that you can see. And JT, you're featured in that, so I hope you don't mind. Thanks for that softball. But there's an opportunity for you to share your 100th story. There is an opportunity for you to join our Centennial Coalition. And of course, we have a matching fund that many of you have already contributed to, and that is $100,000 to match any new giver and any increased giver to the United Way of York County. Thanks, JT. And I saw Jim, and then I saw Gordon. I did not repeat the question. Should know that. Jim.
I have to admit, I shared this already with John Kelly. My question is this. There historically have been a number of York County companies which were owned locally. There was a York Corporation, paper,
Falsgraph.
that have been bought, sold, and are no longer under York County ownership. Their ownership is by, let's say, outsiders or multinationals. I wonder, with respect to United Way, because of the generosity of many of those York County entrepreneurs, the ownership has now left the county. How is that, has that affected the benevolence to the United Way?
That's a great question, Jim, and I'll repeat that for our online audience if I can paraphrase that, Jim, and that is the changing landscape of corporate ownership in York County. How has that affected our United Way? And it's had a significant impact Jim, not just for our county's United Way, but as a worldwide network. We're a member of United Way Worldwide. So in the past decade, United Way donors have decreased nationally by 45%. So that is significant. And we have followed that trend in York County. So as Bill mentioned, our new mission and vision have us retooling and evaluating and strategizing in regard to the best direction to move forward, to have impact for our next 100 years in our community. So those are some significant challenges. However, there are also growth areas that other United Ways have experienced that we're investing in. And one of those areas is major gifts. Our fellow board member, Kim Alvarez, is under the weather today, but that's an investment our organization made in a professional to help us continue the amazing growth we've had from individuals in our community. You know, the landscape from 1921, I wonder, you know, how Utz chips looked then and how they look today. And Rutter's probably didn't have, I don't know, all the offerings they offered in their C-stores. And that's the same for the United Way of York County. There were no one-day gives. There were no roundup at every retail, or your bill at every retail place that you go to, Giant or CVS. There was no GoFundMe, there was no social media. So as our world changes and our club changes, so does our United Way need to change. But we are very fortunate that even though the corporation landscape has changed, Jim, that our growth in major givers has increased. And that's where we see the focus of the future. Thank you. Gordon.
And is Hanover part of the United Way, York County United Way?
Hanover is absolutely part of the United Way of York County. You know, not just technically the United or the YWCA, the YMCA in Hanover, but actually technically as a member of United Way Worldwide, we're given zip codes. So let's just say, for example, our community decided not to have a United Way. Another organization could potentially come into our community and apply for those zip codes to run a workplace campaign. So yes, we're Hellam to Hanover and New Freedom, where I hail from, to New Cumberland and all points in between. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah. As you
Go
look
ahead.
at the strategic planning process coming, I know you can't guess where it's going to end up, but in addition to what you've already lifted up about the changing landscape of corporate giving, are there one or two things you could lift up as particular challenges or issues that you and the board are looking at as you look to how to retool for the next chapter?
That's a good question, Glenn. So in addition to the corporate, yeah, in addition to the corporate landscape, Glenn is asking if there are some challenges that we've identified for the future. And there are many of our partner agencies in the audience today, and many of you are involved on the boards of directors of partner agencies. And being more of a true partner, we have significant processes in place for our partner agencies to receive funding from the United Way of York County Impact Fund. And in essence, we want to make that an easier process. It's a great process. It involves almost 80 volunteers and interactions with the leadership of these organizations and site visits. But that, I think, is going to be welcome from what I've heard over almost the past 3 years from our partner agencies to make that a more efficient, collaborative process while we are still responsible to the donors who invest their dollars with us. Any other questions? Kevin?
Could everyone give more this year than they gave last year?
Thank you, Kevin Schreiber. So for our virtual audience, Kevin asked if folks can give more, and the answer is yes. You can give early and you can give often. Kevin serves on our board of directors. Kevin serves on our executive committee. Kevin serves on the board of York Day Nursery. And many other organizations. And we're very honored to have you, Kevin. Kevin and I work together at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and it really is an honor to work with him. Kevin, before this at 10:30, we had a Zoom meeting of the United Way of York County Campaign Cabinet. Kevin, many of you were on that call. Kevin is co-chairing that with Mayor Bracy. This is the first year in our century of service that we've had a Black chair of our campaign cabinet in Mayor Bracy. So, you know, Glenn had asked earlier about challenges. I think we're rife with opportunities to grow and impact and do even better in the future. So yes, the opportunity is there. I'm not supposed to solicit, so I guess since I was asked that question, I didn't. But I know that we have many United Way supporters in the audience, and there certainly is an opportunity for you to serve others above yourself and also live united, because through our workplace campaign, you can give to both Rotary and the United Way of York County. Thank you for that, Kevin. Each week, our club presents a children's book in honor of our speaker, and that was started by past President Di Hershey. And those books have been donated, if you've been paying attention, over the last year to our United Way partner agencies that have child care centers. Today, I'm going to sign this book, not from me, but from all of you, from the Rotary Club of York, all of us who are dedicated to service above self and living united, because all of us is what our community needs right now and what our community needs for the next 100 years. Thank you very much. And our song for today is one of my favorites, Natalie Merchant, Kind and Generous. Thank you. Have a great week. We'll see you. Oh, I forgot something. Oh, dang it. I'll be right back. It's over here. So sorry about that. Next week, our club meeting, yes, will feature 2 special events. Number 1, appreciation for our very own past district governor, past President Patty Rooney, as we will wish him Godspeed as he and Sally begin their new chapter in North Carolina. And our annual peaceful transition of leadership, just in case you were expecting something else. Last year, we conducted our first virtual changing of the guard in the Rotary Club of York's 105 years. Next week, we will feature our first hybrid format changing of the guard, but of even more historic nature. It will be our first transition from one female president to another. Jackie and I welcome you to join us in celebration of a historic 2021 year and a launch of our amazing 21-22 year. Now the closing song, Natalie Merchant, Kind and Generous. Thank you all. Have a great day.